Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to tonight's second half, the last upload for Memorial Day. Please, everyone, if you haven't taken a moment of silence to thank the fallen heroes, men and women that fought for our freedoms and the lives we live, take that moment now. I have a really awesome second half for you all. A Texas subscriber shares some really horrifying encounters out of Texas and shares a little bit about some government cover-up going on in Texas. Before we get into that, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook version. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss any of the exciting and informative uploads I put out, click that bell icon. And finally, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And they matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's second half, shall we? So tonight I've got Nick with us. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you for asking.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and taking some time out of your evening to share the information you have with us.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and you can share the information about Hood County, and then we'll lead into the encounters. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Let me start off. The way I received this information from a close friend in our family was that I have some friends and people live in my area. I live in the hill country in Texas, and I mentioned to my close friends, have they ever heard anything such thing as a Dogman where he's at? Because I heard there were some sightings up there, and lo and behold, he opened up and mentioned that yes, there has been sightings in the area, and that area we're speaking of is Hood County. Anyway, we started talking, and he is a believer because he was raised in Alabama, and he is a part of the Alabama Cochata tribe, and he was raised that he knew about the Rougarou growing up by his grandmother, the Native American, talking about it not to go out in the woods at night, to leave him alone. That's how the subjects opened up. And so sorry about that.
That's okay.
My wife's making toast there. But anyway, that's how the subject opened up. And he was telling me that the area, yeah, he heard of it because he's a close friend of the captain division of wildlife in that area. Okay. And he started telling me that they had sightings, and his good buddy, the captain, started investigating about people reporting sightings of a creature out there. So lo and behold, my good friend was telling me that they decided to take a boat on the Brazos River where they were seeing sightings, reported sightings. And so he took the boat out at night, had cameras all around the boat. Of course, they were in the electric trolling motor, so they won't make no sound. So they're out there trolling in the river where, like I said, they had reported sightings. of this creature, the Dogman. So lo and behold, my friend was telling that his good friend, the captain, was telling him that they heard a sound and they turned on the spotlights and they caught the Dogman on video, on camera. They caught it on camera. Okay.
Wow.
That was really, and I was really excited about it. They caught it on camera, but they kept that to themselves.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, not too long after that, you hear about that the incident happening to that man that got killed out there. And my friend was telling me the captain, he said, yeah, the sheriff went out there and said it was a mountain lion, blah, blah, blah. So, well, since my friend's a good friend of the captain, he said he went out there to investigate because that's part of his area. He investigated and saw what it was. And then my friend was telling me, yeah, he investigated, saw what happened, saw the body and everything. And he said he told the sheriff that wasn't a mountain lion that did it. So when he came back and started talking to my friend, that was a close friend of the family, mentioned that, no, he told him it's that Dogman that you believe known as a Rougarou that killed that young man that killed him. And that's how I came out with that information. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, because they caught it on a camera not too long ago before that killing. They actually have photographs and videos of this thing running around in that area. Wow. And that's how I got the information that I started up telling them that people that I know in this area have encountered the Dogman in this area. And that's how I opened up the conversation with a good friend of mine.
Right.
And that's how I got the information from him.
Wow, that's crazy. So pretty much your friend of the family, his buddy's the captain of the wildlife division. He was on the boat and they got the picture of this. And that's, pretty much what the news is saying is the sheriff and the wildlife division are not agreeing. Sheriff saying mountain lion, wildlife division is saying it's not a mountain lion, but we're not going to tell you what it is. We're just saying it's not a mountain lion.
Right.
That's pretty. Did he say approximately when the sighting occurred prior to? Because the attack on Christopher Whiteley happened in early December 4th. And
I'm thinking he said maybe around October or November they caught this thing on camera.
Okay.
Because I guess there were people in the area was reporting they were seeing things running around. So of course his responsibility is to go investigate, and I got a feeling they knew what it was. But I mean, if they went to that extreme to go on a boat with a electric trolling motor and have cameras prepared, ready to go, I got a feeling they knew possibly what it was anyway. I mean, that's my theory.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just because they play dumb with us doesn't mean they're dumb. In general, I mean, they play dumb on TV and on newspaper articles, but they know what's going on. And the photographic evidence, I wish there was, one day, hopefully there'll be a disclosure where we can see that stuff, but I don't know how far along we are to getting it. So.
Right. I mean, my close friend of mine did call me 2 days ago, and I need to call him back. But real close to the friend to the family. But I would attempt. Maybe they will. Maybe since they're real close, and my friend's an ex-Marine, and maybe you can get something from them. I don't know. Maybe some imaging or what, because they're pretty good friends. And like I say, he knew my friend believed in him. Yeah. And he was raised knowing about these things existing.
Right. Yeah, that would be decent. I mean, no pressure, but I think it would actually, and I've been saying it about all of these attacks, I believe the attacks on these people, on people in general, I think they would slow down a little bit if the local, state, and federal government just honestly were honest with us and said, hey, there are things out there. Be careful, because we go out in the woods, people who don't believe in this stuff, people who don't think there is something like that out in the woods, they go out in the woods carefree. I mean, yeah, the woods are meant to enjoy, but you gotta have some precaution when you're going out there as well.
Oh, definitely, especially when I was out there in Colorado and we go camping and there's things that exist, but you don't see them. But they're so stealthy, they can sneak up on you. And I know, and they're out there, and people know things exist, but you don't see them.
Right. Yeah. Now, you said you've got some information or some encounters around your area that you wanted to share with us as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sure do.
All right.
Okay, let me start out the first one. Because growing up, I know that some things exist out there, seeing other things. My personal encounter was in the 70s, and we had a farm down South Texas, and us kids were at home by ourselves. I don't know why, but we're home by ourselves, and we had two homes on the property. Anyway, but two houses on the property, and my sister and my parents lived in one, and me and my brother lived in one little house. Anyway, we were home, and we had a German Shepherd, we had a couple of dogs, and we had animals and all that. Anyway, one towards the evening, I hear my sister screaming murder. I'm inside the house, they're outside, and I hear them scream murder. Hey, like something's attacking her, and I hear our German Shepherd going crazy. So my mind's thinking that the German Shepherd turned on her and attacked her, right?
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh man, So I grabbed the shotgun and I start running outside. Well, the middle sister and the eldest sister are running in, and I'm running down with a shotgun, and of course they're running in, and I see the German Shepherd going crazy outside, barking at something. Anyway, my concern, I stepped outside and came back with my sister to make sure she was all right, see what's going on. And she was saying that a giant bird tried to pick her up. I said, okay. A giant bird tried to pick you up, okay. And then my eldest sister was behind her, and I asked her, well, did you see it? And she goes, no, I did not see it, because I was looking down and I saw the shadow on the ground. And I was running for my life because I heard her screaming, and I said it, and then they tried to pick her up, and we just ran inside the house. So, okay. Me being the oldest, and I said, okay, you saw something, okay. Opened, we had a encyclopedia, World Atlas Encyclopedia back then in the 70s. This had to be 1978 this happened.
Okay.
And so I picked up the books, and then I went to the birds, and asked her to point out the bird was trying to pick you up. And she pointed out the prehistoric bird, and I believe it was a pterodactyl. And she pointed out that bird. This is no, brother. She swore up and down. And I think she was only 13 then, years old. And she pointed, no, it was that bird. Okay, so be it. We left it alone. Okay, that bird tried to pick you up. That's the bird you pointed out. Okay, we left it alone. Well, now go ahead.
No, I laughed about that because, it's just, you're in your view, you're probably like, yeah, pterodactyl went and picked you up,
Right. Now, 3 years ago, we're together for the holidays. And, and now since I'm getting more into the cryptid stuff and things going on, I'm an adult. And I did research, because I was DOD at China Mountain Air Force Station. And I had a co-worker with me, and he mentioned about the Thunderbird in upstate New York. Anyway, we had clearance, and we pulled out information, and government had information investigated on these birds. So now I'm thinking of my sister. Well, she probably was telling me the truth. I never denied say she was making it up. It's just, wow, okay, that bird, I was really surprised. Anyway, now, a few years later, the years will pass. 3 years ago, we're adults now. And I'd sit down, my sister, I wanted to ask you again that you still say that bird tried to pick you up, brother. I'm telling you, that was that bird. I ain't like making it up. That was that bird trying to pick me up. I said, okay. And we left it like that. That was my personal first encounter with my family,
Right.
dealing with that. Now, later in life, I have friends that have seen Sasquatch, Bigfoot in Colorado, in the state of Washington. Anyway, I started getting into it, now I'm older, getting close to retired, so I started digging into more information, and and this was the first time, I believe it was your podcast or somebody's show, I heard about Dogman. Right? And I really started getting really interested about Dogman, and I asked my dad, you ever heard it? And he goes, yeah, his dad used to tell him they used to see stuff in Texas, a giant wolf. My dad, matter of fact, my dad was talking about it today, this morning. Yeah, that his dad, he used to walk a lot. His dad used to walk a lot in Texas, And back then, it was more wilderness back then,
Right.
And he's seen things and he talk about it. And then, that's the first time my dad even started opening up, because I've been more into it now. I only listen to the radio. I listen to your show and other people's show, and Dad's listened to it, and he brings it up. Like, he's listening to the show. Yeah. And I remember my dad was telling me stuff like that, and back then, we're neighborhood. Now that's in his neighborhood. It was all wilderness, or it was more before San Antonio grew. But he told me that he's seen giant wolves running around, but he didn't think it was a dog man. It was more like wolf-like, that he used to see things.
Right.
And I remember, we had a property down, like I said, when we had that farm there, and I remember sitting down one evening, and when our property went up a hill on an incline, and then every night I used to see birds drop down, catch snakes, wildlife. As a matter of fact, I wanted to find out a baby owl that I started raising, but one evening I see a black panther walk across our property. And that's rare, and I was shocked to see that. But now, up to date, now, since I'm really into it, I have my own business, and I have my handy business. I do a lot of remodeling. Anyway, I was in, I heard somebody's cast, there's been reported, I don't know how long ago, they reported a dogman running around Kerrville, Texas. Okay. Anyway, I was doing a job on the border of Kerrville and Fredericksburg, Texas. They're right here in the hill country, not too far from here, about an hour. And I'm laying out utilities, plumbing, electrical, underground, for a customer. Anyway, me now, I don't hold back. I ask customers, have you heard anything, seen anything? Well, I asked the parents that were retired, they were moving on to their son's property. And of course, they didn't hear nothing. They're from the city. Well, I was talking to the daughter-in-law. They own the property. The son owns the property, their son. But I was talking to the daughter-in-law. Hey, have you heard anything out here? Well, lo and behold, she's talking to her husband. He's Special Forces. She's a ranger. And he's out right now out in the field. She's talking to him on video chat or Snapchat, but it's a video chat. And of course, she laughed when I asked her. And she's talking to him. You ever heard of it? Making a joke of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, you hear him say, yes, I have. And his wife paused, right? His wife paused because he said, yes, I have heard of it. Okay, and that was the end of it. That was the end of the conversation. Anyway, I was finishing up the job, and lo and behold, the parents, I guess the son started telling because their parents were moving on this property, and I guess he told his parents about what's going on in that area. Because I guess they might have made fun about it. He goes, no, they're real. He was saying there's a ranch out there in Fredericksburg that there's two of them running around killing livestock, sheep and stuff out there, sheep and goats right now, up there in Fredericksburg. Well, I got excited when I heard, okay, what I'm hearing, that was my first customers or people have talked and they have what's going on in that area. Okay, so be it. Well, the next encounters that people have talked to me about was I was out here at a local bar and grill here in town, and I ran into a fellow native because I'm an Elite Panda Apache, and we're the indigenous people up in Derrick, Texas. Anyway, I was talking to a fellow Apache, and talking, hey man, have you heard anything about it? And he goes, as a matter of fact, you know what? He said, you need to talk to my daughter. I said, okay. Well, his daughter came in was her husband, and her husband is the president of a biker group that helps with funds, raise funds for needy people and all that. But it's a biker group here in Bandera. Anyway, I started talking to, hey, your dad said you might have seen something. And he goes, yes, I did. He said, my husband makes fun of me, laughs at me, that I was imagining things. And then I asked him, well, did it look like this? I described a Dogman. He goes, yes, it did. She was working second shift in Hondo, Texas. And 173 runs from, north to south to Hondo, Texas, all the way to Kerrville, all the way to Fredericksburg. Anyway, she worked third shift, Verde Creek. And, there's, two creek, and there's one with a deep ravine.
Okay.
Well, where the deep ravine, and she told me specifically where it was. She said, you get hit Bandera County going towards Hondo, and you travel, I think, 5 miles, 5 miles, I think she said, and then there's going to be that rear. Well, when I was coming from Hondo heading home to Bandera at that 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, she said she saw this thing on the side of the road because out here we have a lot of deers, axis deers. We have a lot of deers. Personally, I live out here. I already hit 2 of them. We got so many of them out here. You got to watch out. There's so many of here. And then I can understand why they're out here. There's so much game, hogs. There's plenty of food for them to eat. Anyway, when she said she was driving, coming home, she saw this thing squatting down and had its hands upward, eating the deer. Okay, when she was to the side of the road, the light hit and she saw that. And of course, you hear the story that it's hard to process their mind. What is this? This ain't real. It looks like a werewolf. You heard so many people talk about this. They can't process it. Right? Anyway, she was telling me, and her husband's there, and I told her husband, all these things do exist. He kind of threw a little smirk, but she was relieved to talk to somebody about it because all this time her husband made fun of her, and she told her dad, but now she was relieved that no, you weren't seeing things. These things exist. These do exist.
Yeah, it's like clarification. When I had my encounter, it was almost like, my brain couldn't fathom what I was seeing, and we had seen, it was me and my friends, and we had seen it come out of the woods. I couldn't imagine seeing one, actually having prey in its hands and eating. That's insane.
I know it is. That's what she freaked out. But she said, and then she noticed the head was so big, and of course in her mind, everybody said it's a werewolf. Right. But it's not a werewolf. I'm not seeing this thing. That's what she was telling me. And now every day now when I see her, she gives me a hug in town, and because she talked about it. Okay, that was her incident. Anyway, and that was it. And then of course her husband, they had to do their thing. And then I ran into him again, and she told me, Nick, a co-worker, I think a month later, I don't know how much time has lapsed when she saw her sighting, her encounter, her co-worker was coming because they worked the same shift. I think they rotate shift, but now she was working that shift, and she lives in town too. She was heading back home around the same time, and she ran in the same area where Verde Creek runs across because it's a deep creek, a big ravine. I personally gone out there 2 in the morning to look, and I have gone during the day and there's a lot of game trails, heavy game trail. Well, it makes sense what she's saying, right? And it's a perfect way for them to run and hide into that creek bed, and nobody will see them. I mean, it's a hill country. You look it up where I live in Bandera area. It's a hill country. It's you got forests. I mean forests and ranches out here, 2,000 acres, and big ranches out here that you see. I mean, we got so much wildlife that there's plenty of food. But anyway, her friend was driving at the same area, close to the same time, and saw it running across the highway, 173. And along the same mile marker, she was telling me. And she saw the same thing. So, but it was running across the highway. Okay, that's one friend of mine that lives here in town. Then I have another one down the road from me. Before I say anything about that, I have sensors, motion sensors, and before I start putting cameras, I have gone in my shop, my sensor goes off. And I have gone out there quite a few times, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But one night, I went out there, everything was quiet. And of course, I have carry my 357 Magnum with me. And I'm out here, I live on the mouth of the lake, Lake Medina. I live in the mouth of it. Okay, so, I mean, and I walked down, and this time, it just didn't feel right. It did not feel right. Something wasn't right. And I started getting the heebie-jeebies, and something's not right. So I went back in. Okay, so be it. That was my deal. But I got some neighbors down the road. Okay. I live in a cul-de-sac. And we talk once one. And one day I just, hey man, have you seen it? He goes, Nick, I have. I'm telling you right now, I have seen it. Because he lives on waterfront. I live across the street from waterfront, but his property is waterfront. But now the lake is down. But he said that he came out for some reason about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and he heard something. He smelled something. Man, something smells. What's going on? Skunk or something, right? And lo and behold, he sees this thing standing up behind a tree, right? And then he's looking at it, and it's like picking around the tree, looking at him. And he goes, and he froze. What the heck? Yeah. What's this? He said, what the heck am I looking at? So he takes off towards his house to grab his phone and his gun, so he can, maybe I can get a picture of this thing, right? Because nobody gonna believe me. Right. Well, as soon as he did that thing took off running, and there's a branch. You cross the street, and where he's waterfront, and you're heading west across the road, and there's some empty lots, and then it goes down to a branch of the lake, of course, it's dry, and that branch kind of hits in front of my shop. Well, that thing ran across and took off running. He saw it. Okay. And then, and anyway, and then he was telling me on that, and then I went back some other time, and there was a guy there too, and another guy. He goes. He was telling that, hey, I told Nick what I saw. Why don't you tell him what you saw? The guy told him, okay. He said, Nick, on the same property, because like I said, the entrance is dry now. It's like a hill country, it's just like a mini mountain. On the other side, there's a slight cliff, incline, like rocks and like a cliff, and there's houses on that side. Well, when he said he saw it running across that the dry area where the lake runs in, and it's running up that incline, and it's number of rocks, like a mountain, a mini mountain. Right. And he said at first he thought he was looking at a hog, and then he thought he was looking at of course it couldn't be a bear, there's no bear out there. He said, man, but a hog don't run like that. And then he was looking at the way it ran, and then when he was reaching with its arm forward, he saw that thing just sprinted up that hill, and that's what freaked him out. That thing moved so quick going up that incline that, an animal that big moving that fast up that incline, they said, That's when he saw it, and he only saw it, man, well, it looked like a giant wolf. At first he thought it was a hog, but a hog can't run up there. Anyway, he's like, he still can't understand what he saw. But the other guy, the guy that's told you they ran across, he saw that, yeah, it had a wolf head, big old wolf head. He described it. Okay, that's my neighbor down the road. Okay. This is just recently.
Right.
This is just recently, about a month ago. I'm doing another job, but now I'm figuring out that it's a pathway, because 173 is where I live on the west side of the lake, and I do a lot of work on the east side of the lake.
Okay.
Well, okay, in the east side of the lake and towards heading south, there's where the dam is, right? So you stand there where I did the work at, where this other customer ran into an encounter of 3 of them. I'm about to tell you a story, but now it's making sense, because I think they take a path along that. They go east to west.
Right.
And right along there, and it makes sense, because people are consistent seeing it that way. And then you cross the front of the dam gorge, and you wind up crossing 173. So it makes sense. In my mind, I'm trying to figure, okay, how are these things moving? Migrating or what, or hunting, right? That's what's causing in my mind. I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway.
Well, like you said in the beginning, you figured it out because, just like humans, we use roads and throughways as our, transportation. They use creek beds or river beds. It's easy traveling for them. There's usually along a riverbed or a creek bed, there's usually some sort of shelter, whether it be knocked down trees or caves or whatever. Food is easily accessible, and they can travel at night, even in the day, without really being seen, because how many people, minus the fishermen, but I mean, honestly, how many people are even driving by a creek bed are looking down there, or looking
exactly
on the side of a river or anything? You're just driving because you're paying attention to what your life is now, so that's a perfect place for them to travel. They're safe. They have food, water, and shelter access, and they can just go.
Right, and then into the way these creeks or dry beds are set up is that in the hill countries are like mini mountains, right? Hills, and you got thick forests or thick thickets, or you want to call it trees or forests, going down those valleys, and then they travel through those valleys and then go through the creek bed. Well, there's the next one, another customer of mine. I'm doing a job right here in Michael, Texas, just to the other side of me. You got to go to Lake. It's about a 45-minute drive going around the lake, going towards that area. And it's heavy, wooded, hill country. Anyway, I'm doing work for the elderly couple, doing some repair, remodeling, and their son lives across the street. Well, the parents have 25 acres on that side, and I imagine, I think the son has same amount or more on the other side, but across the street. Anyway, I'm doing repairs, and his son called, hey, why don't you give me an estimate to do some work on my home? Well, he has a yard, and then all of a sudden it drops down the hill. I mean, it really drops, and it goes down to a valley. And far down the valley, he has a deer feeder, feeding with corn, way down there. He said about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, he has a balcony, overseeing, because his yard he has a balcony. His yard's probably, say about maybe 20 yards, and then there's a fence, and then the drop off on the hill. Okay. Well, and I was doing the estimate, and of course my cousin was the one, makes fun of me, right? I told him, hey man, of course I start the conversation. Have you seen anything strange out here or anything? He goes, as a matter of fact, I do. I have. Matter of fact, I was out letting my dog out. I don't know why. I think it's the witching hour, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Here, that's like, I think it's the witching hour for these things to come out. I don't know why. Yeah. Anyway, he was telling me he took the dog out to, out to the use the restroom out there. and he hears something out down the valley where he's being. He hears like 3 of them communicating with each other, making noises, right? Well, he said he was thinking it was Bigfoot, okay?
Okay.
All right. And I said, why do you think it was Bigfoot? And I asked him. Because he has a friend somewhere upstate somewhere. There's a Bigfoot researcher. I didn't get the name of his friend. He said, but he, right there that moment, he makes a phone call, right? Because I guess his friends heard him how they communicate or the sounds they make, right? You know, according to him, that's what his friend knows what kind of sounds they make, the Bigfoot make. So he made the phone call. He said, man, I didn't get him right away. And I redialed and called him. He finally answered. And I put my phone out. Listen to this. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? And then he goes, he just friend said, well, I don't think there's Bigfoot, but they're talking to each other, that's for sure. Right? And then, well, he's thinking, after the encounter, he was thinking those 3 of them were pushing deer down towards that valley so they could ambush them. And said they sound like they were, because he's ex-military too. He said the way they were working together, they're like pushing maybe a small herd down that way so they can ambush them in the valley. Anyway, what he said while he was talking to his friend on the phone, he heard something right there by his fence line. There's a big, like I said, it drops off right away, right there down the hill. But there's a tree right there, the other side of the fence, tall tree, and he sees these amber glowing eyes, right? And he's thinking, at first his mind crosses, oh, it's an owl, right?
Yeah.
He's thinking it's an owl. And he starts looking at it. No, the eyes were too spread out. And then he's looking at it, and then it made a small gurgling growl, and it took off, right? Anyway, the next morning he went out there, and where he saw the eyes, and he measured the tree, and where the eyes are, he was looking, it was like 8 foot, 8.5 to 9 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't ask him because I had to go back to work. I should have to check for footprints. I didn't ask him. I should have told him to check for footprints. I doubt it because it's hill country, it's all rock, caliche rock, it's hard stuff. So he could see anything out here anyway because we live in the hill country. But yeah, you were telling me that, and then I have another customer, almost the same area, a little north of that area. But this one, she kind of laughed it off a little bit. Mm-hmm. I asked her to, hey, because she has a lot of property, and I've been doing like 3 different, phases of her project. And one day I asked her, hey, have you seen it? He goes, Nick, I have. There's something's going on my property. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, well, I thought it might have been a hog. Well, there was some fecal matter, and it was so big. And she grew up in there. She could tell the different hogs and different, of course you could tell different deer and all that. But the way the fecal matter was laid, she said, man, it puzzled her so bad. And then she walked along the fence line to see if a hog got underneath or busted the gate and a fence. Nothing, no evidence or nothing. Mm-hmm. And well, there's no rooting. Usually you have hog, they root in the ground, digging up the ground. Yeah. So So she, on her own, she said that, and they didn't ever got back with her. She personally called Division of Game and Wildlife. That's how it bothered her that much. She called them to come and look at it. So now she's waiting for them to get back what it is,
Yeah. Now, all of these are around this very, in this one area around the lake, right?
Right. All this area around this lake, all this happening, except Fredericksburg.
Right.
Fredericksburg's up north. Fredericksburg, for me, is about an hour away.
Okay.
Okay, but it's still up north, hill country, because you hear, the reason I got interested is because I was hearing people seeing things. Of course, somebody else have another podcast. They see stuff around Travis Lake. Well, I heard they have traveled eastward towards Killeen, Fort Hood, east of that area, and that's the reason I got into it, because I got interested into them because I've been hearing they've been hearing sightings in the area, and I get multiple sightings. Of course, along that corridor, it's all hill countries, and where the Hood County, you follow the corridor 281, and 281 drops down, and you hit Granbury, and of course, the place that young man got killed, it's I know you call it something else, but it's Lipan, Texas, because I'm a Lipan Apache.
Yeah,
that's what the name of the area.
Hood County, Lipan, Texas.
Right, yeah, Hood County.
Yep.
And I'll drive through when I go visit my good friend of mine or family member. I drive through there, and it's all hill country. That's the old Chisholm Trail area.
Yeah,
it's all wilderness. It's all wilderness.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, when I was first researching the case of Christopher Whiteley, I pulled up satellite images of the area, and it's a perfect area for any large predator to roam around and not be seen. Whether it be, a mountain lion or a dogman or a Sasquatch, it's a very easily for them to navigate through. Not so easy for a human, but easy for them to.
Well, like I said, out here, there's so much wildlife, game, and everything. And then going towards with those other sightings like Hondo and that area, I was telling you, towards that area, 1283, on the other side of the lake. And then 1203 curves out, hits us towards San Antonio. I personally have driven through there. And I'm serious, Jeff, that when I'm driving, there's a couple of times I thought somebody dumped the love seat on the side of the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's crazy. They dumped the love seat. You know what it was? It was a dang hog. And the hogs are that big out here. And so, man, there's plenty of food out here for them. Yeah. Hogs, they have a problem that side of the lake, and then heading towards Kerrville, they're having problems with hogs, and now they're getting closer around the community, but they have a problem with hogs. I'm telling you, these things out here grow, and then you got the regular white-tailed deer running around.
Right.
And then once upon a time, we got a lot of high fences here to have these exotic animals and all that. And when there was a big ranch out here, they tore it down. They were building homes. Well, they let axis deer. And axis deer, anybody can hunt all year round because they're not domestic deer.
Right.
And those things get big. And there's a lot of those here. And like I said, there's so many out here. I'm careful, and I got a big brush gun on my truck. I have hit 2 deers already. And then my friend that I've known since junior high, he retired out here. I felt bad for him. He had no, he messed up his trucks, both of his trucks that he hit 2 of them. There's so many out here. You got to be careful. Just even going down my road, you got to drive 5 miles per hour, even though it's 30. But you got to watch, especially towards the evening, the morning.
Yeah.
And what's funny too? I have been gone out late, and I come around that witching hour. They're running like crazy around here around that time.
Yeah, it's perfect hunting area, perfect hunting time too. And that makes sense when you said that you're one of your guys that you're doing a job for said that he saw a dogman almost 8-9 feet.
Yeah.
There's plenty of food. Well, if you've got lots of food, what are you going to do? You're just going to continuously eat, continuously hunt, and grow bigger and bigger, Well,
what was amazing that he said that when he was out there, the way they were communicating with him, and the way they were pushing down the herd towards the valley. So, and he told me that. I didn't say nothing. He said, no, I think that what they were doing, they were pushing the small herd of deer to ambush them right there in the valley right there, and to show you how intelligent these things are.
Yeah. Well, I've heard. I'm very good friends with Dark Waters, and he and I have had conversations about them migrating. He believes that they migrate south, and we were talking about a case where hunters. They'll go out and hunt, in Oklahoma, Texas, wherever. And one year there's an abundance of deer. And then the next year there's not so many. But then the next year there is. And he and I were talking, and we believe that they are so intelligent that they can actually herd their own, their own food, drive their food south with them, so they don't have to, really hunt on unknown lands. If they're going south towards Mexico, South America that way, they'll herd their deer with them, hunt them there, and then the population dwindles, but then the next year when they come back, it booms again.
Right.
So
well, I've been here almost 9 years, and I know the axis deer, they kind of migrates in like big herds at a time, but the whitetails are always here, and and that's what you're saying. I think about that too. If the population is being depleted here, and I don't see that, and that's the thing. There's so many out here, now since this has been going on. I personally, because remember that time I told you I went out to check on my shop, the motion sensor went off inside.
Yeah.
And I got the heebie-jeebies. Now I'm running cameras all the way around my house.
Yeah.
So hoping to maybe catch that, because according to the one that ran across, I'm telling you that neighbor, he's probably, I think what the Dogman ran across is like, I say about 200 or 300 yards from me. So, and then of course, like 75 yards from me. But when the Dogman ran across that way. And see, a lot of times it makes sense, because when the lakes are dry, this is the second time the lake went down. You see the herds of deers and axes run towards that area. I guess to drink water and all that. Of course, that fresh vegetation now, it's not above, it's not underwater.
Right.
And they migrate down towards that water. Well, that's where that Dogman's running across.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense, man. It's crazy.
I'm telling you, but now, and then I have my daughter. I personally, I have my daughter. She does shirts and stuff for my business, and I told her, hey, I want you to make me one that says Dogman Researcher, right? Because I like to wear it, and it goes in the dark at night. But when I go out in town, I want to wear it, see if anybody asks questions. Something to start the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the girl, that first person that I spoke to that had that encounter, that Dogman was squatting down eating that deer on the side of the road, she wants a shirt. Oh, give me one of those. But I'm telling you, she's a different person, because now she's happy that she let it out and that somebody believes her. Her husband still kind of shake his head,
Yeah.
No, dude, I said, you know what? You're out there riding a bike. You know what? I don't wish you harm, but I hope one of these, because your wife, poor wife, you're making farm. And she said she was having nightmares too. She was having nightmares. And I felt bad for her. But now, like I said, she sees me and hugs me. Oh, and hey, how you doing?
Yeah, it makes a difference when you've got someone that will listen and believes you, because we're told that they don't exist. And once someone believes you, it's a huge difference. It's actually, it gives you clarity. It's clarification. Hey, this person saw it. Oh my God, there's someone else that, is like me. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I have another neighbor here. Man, I still kind of question him a little bit. And when he was going towards Kerrville, he was living out there. And he said at 3 a.m, he went out. I don't know why he went out, but he went out and he saw this thing squatted down and got up. But he swear, but now I kind of question him. I tease him, were you high or something? Now I'm questioning. He said he saw a Bigfoot, and he stood there for 3 or 5 minutes watching it walk away,
Right.
But, him, I've never heard any Bigfoot out here. That he said it was a Bigfoot, but I still question his,
It could have been misidentification.
Right.
That's a big thing. You can't question somebody if they're telling you that they saw something, because
right.
You weren't there.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm bad. You're right. Yeah.
And it could have been misidentification. He could have, maybe he didn't see the front of it. Maybe
right.
He was looking at the back of a large Dogman walking away from him. And, people who don't know about Dogman, may have been a misidentification. I mean, Tim Coonbo Baker misidentified Dogman for 15 years before he even realized that, holy cow, this is what people are seeing. Went back into his old files and realized that, back in the late 70s, early 80s, people were seeing these dogmen, and he was classifying them as a squatch. So,
right.
It sounds to me that around this lake is a hot spot in Texas, and it's a perfect area.
Oh, yeah.
So.
There's one thing I have noticed. Matter of fact, I see deer running around right now, right here behind my property right now. There's so many of them right now. I see. But you know what I have noticed? I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting too much into it. When I first moved out here, there were so many feral cats, wildcats running around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got mountain lions out here in this area, and because when I was a kid in Gardner State Park, it's like 45 minutes to an hour west of me. When I was a kid, that was the first time in the 70s I saw a cougar mountain lion. And then, of course, they catch them around the lake and game camps, mountain lions. And then I finally saw a bobcat out in the wild 3 years ago, and that was the last time I seen it out in the wild. But I seen one. But when I was saying that, when I first moved, there was tons of feral cats. There's so many feral cats that another county has a grant for our county for feral cats. So they do? They spade them. They put a chip, tracking device to keep track of these feral cats. So I had 2 of them. And you used to see them everywhere around here.
Right.
Now you don't hardly see none of them.
Now there's none. Yeah. That's the biggest sign right there is lack of a small, that's easy pickings.
Right.
So.
I mean, I'm not making it up. I'm telling you, there were so many of that. I had a a feral cat left here, and then I wound up adopting one.
Right.
And then and then I found another one about 3 or 4 months later. It's like almost the same area, but it was by itself. Like I said, on the female, they get them fixed. They put a chip. On the male, the second one was a male, so they put a chip, fix them, and they clip one of the ears. That's how they keep records of them.
Right. Yeah.
And but like I said, there used to be a lot of them. And when I first moved out here, there was a lot of them. You don't hardly see any of them.
Yeah, that's definitely first sign that something's big. And I mean, obviously, you've got a lot of clientele around you and people around you that have seen them. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then too, and also, like I know we have the eagles out here, and you hardly see them, but they exist out here. They call them, I forgot the proper name, but out here they call them the Mexican eagle. It looks like almost like a bald eagle with a mohawk. And they're out here. They're out here, and then when you do see them, you see quite a few of them. It's like, it's sporadic. You see them here, once in a while, but they're out here. That's like I said, these birds out here, and I don't hardly see them, but they're out here. But and I get excited to them because I think they're cool looking birds,
Right. Yeah, it's the same way with just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're out there, So, Nick, I'm coming up on time right now. I'm coming up on recording time. We're about an hour into this.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to cut the interview. Don't hang up when we end the interview. I appreciate you coming on and sharing the information with us.
No problem.
And if you hear anything more from your friend or your family there, please keep me in line with that so I can give updates on that, because
yes, sir.
The Hood County one means a lot to me. I've been, researching that case for a while now, and I just I really want someone to say, hey, we do know what it is, and then just leave it at that. I mean, you don't have to tell us what it is, just say we know, so. But
well, you know how it is. You know how it is with the government. They keep quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we end the interview?
No. Like I said, yes, I do. I mean, I sure appreciate you listening to me, and I do listen to your show. I really enjoy your show, and all these other encounters that people are talking about. And like I said, I use an example, especially for that poor lady that witnessed that one inside road. I mentioned, I mean, you're welcome to talk to, but I guess she doesn't want to talk to nobody, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
if you know anybody that is willing to come on, I mean, my phone is always open, and it's just a platform for people to share their encounters. So,
Yes, sir.
well, I appreciate you coming on, and have a good evening. All right.
You too now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, I hope you all enjoyed tonight's second half. It was filled with encounters and information, government cover-up. I really do hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone is enjoying the rest of their Memorial Day weekend. Tomorrow is Tuesday, back to a normal routine. Anyway, guys, stay safe, happy, and healthy. God bless you all.